here this evening to speak with you because the world around us is changing. I think that's something we can all agree on. And I've experienced this change both in a personal sense as well as in a professional sense, as Tom just described. Growing up, not this young, a little bit older than that, I remember hearing the phrase, "You are who you surround yourself with." And being young and naive, I thought, well, that's simple. Let me figure out what I want, and be it money, success, intelligence, and find those people who can help me get what I want. And you know, for a while that worked. That wasn't always a bad thing. I met great people, I had great experiences, but there was something missing from that equation. There was something unsatisfying about pursuing results just for the sake of pursuing results. And it wasn't until I had what I like to think of as an epiphany, when I realized life is not just about me. That when I stopped measuring my success based upon how valuable others are to me, and instead looked at how valuable can I be to others, it profoundly changed my whole interactions with people, profoundly changed the results that I achieved. Not only did I get what I want, had a job ever since I was a kid, I went to school, I've actually been a partner in a business, but it gave me deeper meaning, deeper sense of satisfaction, and allowed me to more deeply connect with the people in my life and ultimately make their lives better too. And what's fascinating is, Tom mentioned, I'm a partner in a business called PATH. PATH is actually an acronym that stands for People Are the How, because our core belief is that customers and employees are the most important part of any business. And those businesses that focus on their needs above all the rest and understand how to exceed their expectations are the ones that outperform in the market. And what's fascinated me is I've seen the same pattern in business. I see companies that make money, make profits, have good products, do well, and then I see other companies that rise above the rest and do things that people didn't even think were possible. Can't be at a logistics event and not mention Amazon. Jeff Bezos has one of my favorite quotes. He says, "Your margin is my competitive advantage." And what I love about that is it really sums up this idea that his favorite competitors are the businesses that focus on profit, that focus on operational efficiency, that focus on the metrics that best serve them. Because what he's looking at is not how the metrics and how customers can serve Amazon. He's looking at how can Amazon continually meet and exceed the expectations of their customers. The guy went from selling books to running one of the most valuable companies in the world and being the most valuable person in the world. He didn't buy Whole Foods because it added dollars to his bottom line. Grocery is not a high margin business. He bought it because he understood the impact it could have on the customers who interact with his business. And he believes this so much that he actually has an empty chair in his meetings as where the customer sits. So that he doesn't just talk about it, he lives it. That every decision that's made keeps in mind the people at the end of the spectrum. Uber is another powerful example. So how many of us use Uber? It's pretty ubiquitous these days. How many of us use taxi cabs? Enough said, right? Uber, they're still out there. They're still out there. Uber revolutionized the game. They're going to be coming out with an IPO in 4 or 6 months, valued at $90 billion. You know how much money Uber made last month? It might be a couple months since I last checked. They didn't. They lost $820 million in 1 month. So think about that for a second. The most sophisticated investors, businessmen and women, futurists are valuing a company that lost $820 million in 1 month at $90 billion. Because they know Uber isn't chasing profits. Uber isn't worried about the bottom line. Yes, of course those numbers matter. In the long run, they have to become profitable. But their focus is on how can we revolutionize the customer experience. Not only did they do it once, they're already looking at how can we bring driverless cars into the pictures. Investors know if they get that right, they'll win the market. And so this is the idea at the heart of what we call the experience economy. That no longer is the value of a company simply based on the products and services that it offers. There's plenty of products out there, there's plenty of services out there. The question that we have to answer, both in our personal and our professional life, is what difference does it make? Why do I offer this service? What does it mean to the people who use this service? Because that's how customers and employees are going to choose your company or your business over something else. Now, I mentioned Uber and Amazon, and I just want to take a pause and say, this is hard. It sounds simple, but Uber and Amazon are not perfect by any means. They have their issues. They still have things they need to figure out. But they truly understand what it is to focus on the customer experience and keep driving that value and thinking, what's next? So today, what I'd like to do is share with you how businesses can succeed in this experience economy based on my years of experience working with companies. And there's three things I'll cover today. First is the idea that in today's world of expectations that are constantly increasing, meeting expectations is not enough. Doing what somebody pays you to do is not enough to differentiate your company. Then comes technology. You can't have a conversation without business without talking about technology, how fast it's moving. How do you make the choices and use technology in a meaningful way and not just for the sake of technology or to use the next shiny thing? Then lastly, we are all faced with a choice to either be disrupted or be a disruptor. There's no middle ground in the world today. There's no sitting and just waiting for things to happen. You can either be the change or have that change happen to you. So let's start with the first one here. Understand and exceed expectations. As I mentioned, expectations are constantly rising. Think 10 years ago, maybe 11, the iPhone came out. And how amazing was that to have music in your pocket, a phone, a camera? Now, if it's not all of that and more, we're not buying it. Expectations are constantly rising. And one of my favorite examples of how you exceed expectations is Airbnb. Who uses Airbnb in here? I bet you 5-10 years ago, none of us would have thought that your spare bedroom would be the hotel industry's biggest competitive threat. Airbnb looked at the market and understood their customers, even better than their customers really did at the time, and said, customers, not everybody wants a standard hotel room in the top of some building downtown where I got to pay $35 to park my car. That's not what everybody wanted. And they looked around and said, how can we exceed customer expectations? Not only did they do that on the customer side, I have good friends who pay half their mortgage by renting out that spare bedroom 4 or 5 times a month to strangers. And they love it. They meet great people. I actually had the good fortune of going to Salt Lake City, used Airbnb, and they raised the bar again, because not only did I get a room, it also helped me find somebody who took me on a snowshoe tour through the mountains of Utah, in Park City, something I never would have imagined myself doing on a visit to Utah. But they figured out what's next. They're constantly pushing. They said people don't rent a room just to go sit in a room. They rent a room to go visit somewhere and experience something new. So how can we partner with them and deliver that experience that they're looking for? Technology is part of everything we do today. I mean, you're seeing AI, robotics, automation, virtual, augmented reality. 5G is right around the corner, and that's going to change everything. We don't even know the impact 5G is going to have on us. What is going to be capable at the tip of our fingers. Here's an example of just scratching the surface of the amount of technology a single business can use. And this isn't even half of the type of software. Businesses have to decide between 15 to 20 different types of technologies that they can use. And technology can be an amazing thing. It can empower people to do more and to focus on more meaningful things than ever before. But it can also be a negative. If there's not purpose in how we decide how to use technology, bad things can happen. How many of us have received a robocall? How many of us enjoyed receiving that robocall? As a matter of fact, I actually got a robocall that was actually a good one. It was from a lawn care company. They were coming out to do my lawn, and they were just letting me know that, hey, we'll be there tomorrow. Let us know if you want to cancel it. Robocalls didn't start out as a bad thing. They actually were useful, a cost-efficient way to get information to the people who needed it. But then there were companies that came in and said, you know what, I'm going to use that for my advantage. I'm going to call 1 million people, and if I can get 5 people to pick up the phone, then I win. So very easily, a thing that was started out as a valuable service quickly turned into something that's beyond frustrating, that honestly feels like an invasion of our privacy. They estimate that by next year, of the billions and billions of calls that happen in our world, 50% of them are going to be robocalls. 60% of the FCC complaints are about robocalls. This is a perfect example of technology gone bad. And so as you consider what technologies to use, all the bright new shiny ones that come out, you have to keep people at the forefront of your decision making. You have to keep the experience that you're trying to offer as the decision point. How does technology add value to the people that you serve? If you can answer that question, then you've made a case for using that technology. Now, not only do you have to exceed expectations and leverage technology, that sets the backdrop for this idea of change and understanding that either change will happen to us or we will be making that change happen. You can either be disrupted or let disruption happen to you. Kohl's. The retail economy right now is referred to as the retail apocalypse. You can list off retailers, Sears, Toys R Us, legendary brands that folded up and went bankrupt. Kohl's is an exception to that. So Kohl's looked at their customer base. So they have a loyal customer base, but it was aging. They were struggling to connect with a younger audience. And they said, well, let's try to understand this customer beyond just how they interact with us. They realized they're also customers of Amazon. What's the pain point? How many of us have ordered something off Amazon and not returned it? I'm definitely in that boat. I still have things in my closet that I'm waiting to return. Kohl's said, well, we can solve that for you. Bring it to us and we'll ship it back. You don't need packaging. You don't need anything. Just show up, we'll send it back. And oh, by the way, we offer a lot of those same things Amazon does. But they didn't stop there. They looked at their customers, found a pain point, and figured out how to engage them. Then they even thought bigger, because one of the weaknesses of retailers are these large footprints. Right? They have these big buildings, lots of stores all across the country, full of inventory that's really they don't need. So they said, okay, let's think of our customers again beyond our own experience. What do our customers need in their life? So what they decided to do was reduce their footprint within the stores and actually rent out that extra space to other companies. They just signed a contract with Aldi to bring grocery stores into their facilities, and they just signed a contract with Planet Fitness to bring gyms into their facilities. So they turned a weakness into a strength by just looking at their business, by not looking to serve their own needs, but looking to serve the needs of their customers. And that's fundamentally how you disrupt. If you keep people at the focus of your decision and look beyond your own needs, you can upend industries and turn weaknesses into strengths. So I can talk to you all day about buzzwords like disruption and innovation and engagement and all that, but the bottom line here is business is about people. And businesses are only as good as the people in their business. So as you navigate this world of change that's changing faster than it ever has before, keep in mind that if you measure your success on the value you give to other people, not only will you achieve what you want, whether it be money, success, fame, but you'll also make life better for the people around you and ultimately the world. Thank you.